What was that song? Pat, you'll remember this. Tell me something good.
Yeah, Rufus.
Yeah.
Shaka Khan.
That's kind of what I feel like today. Tell me something good.
Now, tell me.
Okay, so let me tell you some good stuff. Last night, during the debate, there were some really powerful moments. What's the first one? Is the first one about Putin?
Either that or the apology tour. We can go either way.
Let me go with Putin first.
All right.
You have it?
Yes, I do.
All right. Something good from Putin.
Said in the same paragraph, I said, and Iran is the greatest national security threat we face. Russia does continue to battle us in the UN time and time again. I have clear eyes on this. I'm not going to wear rose-colored glasses when it comes to Russia or Mr. Putin, and I'm certainly not going to say to him, I'll give you more flexibility after the election.
Oh, thank you. Would have liked
you
to
very
have
much.
a little bit more on that, but I'll take it, Mitt.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I would have liked to savor that moment.
I know he could have let it soak in a little bit.
Let me just hang on. I want to breathe in the bouquet of that one for a moment. But again, see what we're doing? We just want blood.
Yeah.
Down, tell me something. That's all we want. We want to spike the football. I fear that would muddy the waters. Here is the president last night saying one of the most amazing things I've ever heard. This is great because you don't have to check it. Everybody, it's like this. It was like the moment in the first debate where the president was like, the only reason why gas prices were $1.87 because the economy was falling apart. Wait, are you saying that it should be $4? Because I don't think that's a good thing. You know what? The economy's doing fine. Jobs are being created. Food prices are great. Wait, Mr. President, I don't think I was just, have you been in a grocery store? There are some things that we find self-evident, and we know exactly when we're being lied to, and others we have to check on. This one you don't have to check. Everybody in America knows this one. Listen to this.
Let me just respond. Nothing Governor Romney just said is true.
Oh.
Starting with this notion of me apologizing. This has been probably the biggest whopper that's been told during the course of this campaign. And every fact checker and every reporter who's looked at it, Governor has said this is not true.
Can you believe he now cares about the fact checkers and saying something accurate? When he hasn't this entire campaign, he's lied through his teeth every day.
And, Mr. President, the reason I call it an apology tour is because you went to the Middle East and you flew to Egypt and to Saudi Arabia and to Turkey and Iraq. And by the way, you skipped Israel, our closest friend in the region. But you went to the other nations. And by the way, they noticed that you skipped Israel. And then in those nations, and on Arabic TV, you said that America had been dismissive and derisive. You said that on occasion, America had dictated to other nations. Mr. President, America has not dictated to other nations. We have freed other nations from dictators.
Thank you.
Tell me.
Yow.
Yeah, that was great. His best moment.
Great.
I mean, that was fantastic.
That was great.
Fantastic.
And everybody remembers the apology tour.
Well, and every fact check organization has called it false and a lie because he didn't specifically use the word apology or I'm so sorry America committed these sins.
He said exactly what Romney said.
And Romney explained it incredibly well. The reason I call it an apology tour and everybody else is calling it that is because you basically apologized for America by saying we're divisive and derisive.
You may have done something worse then. You didn't apologize. You just said how bad we were.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly the AP writes up the fact check and says that Obama didn't say, quote, sorry in those travels, but he did go on. Romney explained the context and explains the two clips that Romney uses, but adds another one. The AP actually adds another one, which Obama said, which was, America has too often been selective in its promotion of democracy.
Wow.
That's how you look at our history? We've been too selective in our promotion of democracy? I mean, that is a stunning thing for a president to say to another country on foreign soil. Romney is completely right on this. The apology tour is just his summary of what the tour was. He didn't say it wasn't the derisive tour or the selective democracy tour. He could have used those, but to summarize,
he could have used the Bash America tour.
Right.
I guess you could do that.
Yeah. I mean, but he was just
let's be accurate for the president then. It was the Bash America tour.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Well, that's fine.
It was the we're arrogant and we're pushy and we're, how about the anti-colonialist tour?
Okay.
We could call it the anti-colonialist tour because that's really what he is. That's what he's saying. In all of those speeches, that's what he's saying. I am an anti-colonialist, and we are a colonialist power, and I'm not going to say I'm sorry for it, but it comes to an end.
But what the heck is he saying these things for? He's saying them to think people like Egypt to say, look, I know we've been bad people in the past, and I apologize for that.
Yeah.
But we're going to be better in the future.
Right.
That way, I mean, look, you can split hairs and say that he didn't say the word sorry, but that's the entire point of these speeches. I mean, that was exactly what he was trying to get across to the Middle East.
Okay, so what is the next fact check? We've got to do the horses and the Navy thing because that's just
all right. Here's the setup for that.
I think Governor Romney maybe hasn't spent enough time looking at how our military works. You mentioned the Navy, for example, and that we have fewer ships than we did in 1916. Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets because the nature of our military's changed.
Oh, wow, that is so unbelievably rude,
arrogant,
condescending. He's not. Romney gets it. Romney gets it. By the way, I just want to show you this. And Mr. President, if you happen to be watching the Blaze TV,
he is. I know you have it.
He likes to have people get he listen to different voices.
Yeah,
I got this off of the Huffington Post. Let me show this to the camera. This is a picture of what is that? Can you describe that? Anybody?
Yeah,
it's a soldier on a horse.
Soldier on a horse.
No, what's the building?
No. What's the building behind it? Do you see the new building going up behind it?
Yeah, that's they're in Lower Manhattan by the World Trade Center.
Yeah, the new World Trade Center. Isn't that weird? Why would we put a brand new statue up of somebody on a horse? Who's that on the horse? Is that George Washington?
No, it doesn't look like an old-timey figure at all.
Oh, you know what that is?
What?
That is the brand new statue to our soldiers who went up in the mountains of Afghanistan on horseback.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I've got another one. May I show one more?
Sure.
Because the president said we don't use bayonets, we don't use horses. We had a lot fewer of those. Well, you know what, Mr. President, you are so right. I would love to be able to say, yes, you know what? We do have a lot fewer of those. I would like to get rid of them altogether, quite honestly. But here's one picture that you might see where we do have a soldier using a bayonet. See that? Mm-hmm. That's the soldier where he's guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier. But here's one where we have bayonets and horses that really, Mr. President, you should be aware of. Because we do use them like this from time to time. And this one you might have seen when we were burying the ambassador in Libya. Mm. See, we bring the bodies back on horseback, and so you see the horses and the bayonets being used. Maybe you should be aware of that, Mr. President, because the death part doesn't seem to bother you so much in seeing that in Afghanistan. Is it 3/5, Pat, or 2/3 of the casualties have happened since
of the casualties and the spending?
2/3. Yeah.
2/3.
Mm-hmm.
2/3 since this president got into office. It's been going on now for 12 years. In 4 years, 2/3. He's better. Try this on for size. He's better at racking up dead bodies than he is at racking up debt, and that's quite an accomplishment. Not really an optimal accomplishment for the President of the United States, but still an accomplishment that should be noted.
That was the entire thing was not optimal for the president. First of all, I mean, trying to act as if ships are the equivalent of knives at the end of guns is one of the dumbest things a president has ever said on camera. It's so incredibly stupid that it's hard to understand how anyone could think differently. First of all, yeah, and as I got a million tweets last night, Glenn, from active military, that they have bayonets on their guns.
They still have bayonets. I have a bayonet. I have a bayonet on my wall. It's framed up on my wall upstairs.
Why?
From military.
Let me ask you this: you run out of ammunition. Why wouldn't you want a giant knife at the end of your gun? I don't understand that, but that's minor in the grand sense of thing. Mitt Romney said, "Well, 1917 we didn't, we had more ships. Well, we also had it in 1920, 1930, 1940, 1950, 1960, 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000, and 2010. We had more ships in those times as well. Ships are important to our Navy." And President Obama went on to say, "Look, we don't need ships. We have things called aircraft carriers and submarines.
Well, that's a ship.
Both of them are classified as ships." Essentially, what the president says is, we don't need any more ships because we have ships and ships. Well, it's the same thing. Absolutely frustrating. And the war against this comes from the right-wing source Aerospace Daily and Defense. The war against terrorism and concerns over ballistic missile attacks are being linked to strains on U.S. Navy ships and resources, and growing concern that the service may be unable to meet operational needs. Missions requiring special forces work or construction needs are stressing Navy resources, but a particular consideration, some defense analysts say, is the increasing need for ships to handle ballistic missile defense operations. Ballistic missile ships are under demand, says the military.
But don't you know why he said, "I'll transmit this to Vladimir"? Do you remember?
No, yeah, it was related to missile defense.
It was missile defense. Mm-hmm. He's going to reduce our missile defense. So don't worry about those ships, because we won't be having those missiles.
And they make it seem like, well, back in the World War I, yeah, we needed more battleships. We don't need more. No one said we needed more ships of the style of that era.
Have you seen the aircraft carrier that is coming out of China now? Mm-hmm. That dwarfs ours, and ours is a totally different animal. Totally different animal than what's coming out of China now. I mean, I'm sorry, Mr. President, but the world needed ships in World War I and World War II, and they'll need ships. I mean, when he said, we just have to have a strong presence in the Pacific, with what? Bayonets or horses? Oh, ships? What do you think? We're not going to need ships? What did you do when you said that there is we want to go on to alert here because things are getting crazy? What was the first thing we sent over to the Middle East? How are we protecting the oil, sir? Oh, I know, with ships. How does oil get across the ocean? Oh, I don't know, in ships. I know we have airplanes, but I also know the Earth has quite a bit of water on it.
And but it's only 75% water. That's all.
We might want to also take care of our Navy and Marines. What do you say, Mr. President?
We don't need those things that float. That's just like, four-legged animals and pointy guns.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let me just tell you about all my accomplishments when I killed Osama bin Laden using the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs.
I wonder if the Navy SEALs who did that had pointy guns. Did they have bayonets? I wonder.
No.
I hope not. Because those aren't needed.
Nope.
Well, they flew there either on flat out planes that took them there, or on a plane and an aircraft carrier.
No, they did. They went on the aircraft carrier.
Okay.
Remember, he was buried at sea.
Those were all part of things that Romney mentioned last night, including the Air Force, which is smaller than it's been since 1947, and there was no mention made of that. We're still using plenty of planes, I think. The whole thing was just unbelievable. But Mitt, let a lot of it slide.
A lot of it slide.